of Indian Occupational Therapy Think Tank's Saturday Night Chat. The premise behind this initiative is everything starts with a discussion. So we started this, I believe, in 2021, and this is our 17. So we have like about one chat session a quarter. So we are in our 17th one. We're so glad, like I know we also see the traction of like, the number of views and other things of our previous sessions as well. Even some of the scholars from different parts of the world have joined and contributed to the discussion. So that's the bottom line. So every session we come up with a topic that has relevance and implications for occupational therapy in India. And we try to kind of provide a platform for people to share their thoughts, opinions, experience, so that the purpose is like let's deliberate the issue so that we can try to narrow down or pinpoint what the issue is, so that we can take some potential action about it. Again, feel free to use these information in whatever way that works for you to advance yourself in your field or advance the profession as a whole. So if you can really use this for any advocacy purposes, or you want to write an article, communicate with us. We are happy to collaborate with you based off of this discussion. You want to write an opinion article, feel free to. So again, the idea is to facilitate. I mean, this is, we are just sowing the seed here. We are facilitating the discussion, and we hope that people will continue this discussion. I definitely, all the topics we are discussing is not 1 hour of discussion with a small group of people is not enough. But this is something, a starting point, and then we'll continue to deliberate on this. Having said that, I would also invite you to watch our previous Saturday night chat sessions, and then listen to what we discussed, and then add your perspective in the comment section. So that way we can continue to advance the discussion. So that's the whole idea behind this initiative. So every Saturday night chat session we will have a moderator, and today we are so happy to have our treasurer, an Indian Occupational Therapy Think Tank's treasurer, Dr. Murali Krishnan. Of course, a lot of us know who he is. He needs no introduction. He's the founder of the Spandan Rehab, and he was an academician in the past. He's currently a PhD scholar at Santosh Deemed University in Ghaziabad, and obviously a prolific speaker, invited speaker in multiple events, and so on. So we're so happy that he's able to moderate the session today. The topic for today's discussion, it's very simple, like, why do occupational therapists in India stay in their field? The reason, we want to discuss this topic, just like Murali, I'll turn it to you in a minute. So just want to set the context for the discussion. I'm obviously, that I'm on the western part of the world currently. So we have rich data from regulatory bodies and entities and repeated workforce surveys. So we know the rate of attrition, and then like what are the reasons for attrition and so on. But if you really look at it, of course, when it comes to the context of Indian occupational therapy, we do not have so much data. But if you really look at the reasons why people might leave the field, is like, when it comes to Indian context, I'm looking back at my own bachelor's degree. How many of my classmates from BOT are currently practicing? Family, cultural things, other commitments. Some people, like, they just got, they couldn't really like find their niche here, and some workplace challenges, lack of growth in the field, hierarchical issues, role dissatisfaction, and so on. So there are multiple factors that either some folks have entered the field and left and like start doing something else. And also I remember back then when I started my practice, the pay scale was very low. It doesn't make any sense after doing a 4.5 years course and practice. And a lot of people went into medical coding, medical transcription, because that time there was a very lucrative pay. So I know a good chunk of the cohorts above me went in, and then they've been successful in their career, no doubt about it. But at the same time, that kind of like from that point forward, I've been thinking of this topic for decades, I would say. So I really like, now I really see a positive growth in India, like with sprouting of so many OT schools. Every time I read something, I say like, okay, Annapaya University, and then I see some other school in Tirupur, and then there's a school in Coimbatore. So we always like used to have these 4 5 schools mentality, and then now it's so happy, I'm so happy that OT is gaining traction. So at this time it may be a good discussion to really like listen from the folks who are continuing in the field for decades or for years, to see why, what makes you stay in the field. So this information might inspire the future generation, and then also like invite more people to get into our field, and then that will, again, the bottom line of IOTT is to empower the field of occupational therapy. So we thought this would be a very valuable discussion. With that context, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Dr. Murali Krishnan. Murali, over to you.
Hi everyone. It's a pleasant evening here in Chennai. It's kind of not raining but cloudy and breezy and cold. So I hope everybody is having a good time in their places. This is the topic, something which is like it can go uh, like a cat on the wall. It either goes this side or the other side in many aspects. Sometimes we used to wonder why people are not staying in the field and why they are shifting into different jobs, and why people are staying in this field. Recently, one of the incident happened that one of my client who came up and joined me for hand rehabilitation. He's a senior, almost in the retiring stage of medical profession, radiologist basically. So he came immediately, third day of his stroke, he got discharged, and then he came to my center for the rehab. And he's like, no, I have never heard of occupational therapy before. I'm like, wow. He is one of the prominent doctor in prominent hospital in Chennai. This is not something new for me. Like every time when I meet somebody, everybody says the same dialogue that no, we have not heard about OT. But still, if from 1947 or 50, we have started here in India, and then we are having this field going on and celebrating in every college. Recently, the JKK college is going to celebrate 25 years of occupational therapy education in their college. So every time when we go in, what has made us stay in this field? And sometimes we also used to wonder. I, fondly call the gang of us, me and other four of us together, when we discuss in the evening, right, why are we staying in this field? Even though there are lots of difficulties when it comes to practically doing a clinical practice in Chennai, and we come up with different, and we come up with sometimes very funny stories why I'm staying. Sometimes it's like, I have nowhere else to go. This is the place I am, and or philosophically to say, the field has chosen me, so I'm staying here in this field. And also sometimes we say this has given me so much, so I'm staying in this field. And sometimes it's the pure passion, like I want to do something for it because the field has grown on me. And for example, when I joined, I did not even know about what occupational therapy is. I just came in with, oh, okay, this is the free seat available because on the merit I'm getting this seat, so I can go and do it. Otherwise, if I had my backup on engineering. And then when I went back and somebody suggested me, my family doc suggested this is the best field in the world and growing field internationally, then I took it up, looking at it. And everybody has different stages. So what I want to ask is, everyone, please introduce yourself briefly and say what is your reason to stay in this field, even after you graduated or you are working as a teaching faculty or a clinical faculty. My reason why I'm staying in this field is I love the fact that I can understand people's body language. I can understand people's mannerisms, at the same time their psychological background, and uh, bring out what is best for them physically as well as mentally in this field. This I realized it when I was doing my post graduation, and that's the time I realized, okay, I'm going to stick on to this field. I'm not going to move out from here. And the neuro rehab in this field was my calling, and I gladly took it up on myself. So I'll go. I'll start with Karthik, you yourself. Why are
Sure.
you staying in this field?
So again, I'm also like when I first came into this field, like probably it was like more like negotiation or accident, at that time when I have to choose a path for my career. But like I would say into my third semester, like where we learned the OT basics, it kind of like hooked on me. Like I really felt like I meant to be where I am back then. I'm talking about like my third semester BOT. So the OT philosophies kind of resonated with me. It made sense, right? A lot of times we really think it's so hard. Like there was a movie comedy as well, like, it's so difficult to be idle, right?
Yeah.
Like I really like, the philosophy of like you can influence your mental and physical health through engagement in occupation. And that kind of like I could really see a lively example, a lot of examples in my life at the time, like, surrounded by me. Like there are people who couldn't find a job. Like it's not only the financial aspect of it, there is more than that. Like, not having a job or finding having a difficulty in finding a job or sustaining a job is more than like the financial factor or the family factor related. It's like, it's affected their health, it's affected the way they think. And then I really saw, okay, so when people engage in this, and also when you read about OT history, it was so inspiring. Like, how all these World War veterans and people with mental health issues, by engaging in occupation, they were able to transform their health. So that philosophy is the first reason. And then also this is maybe little I don't know, on the selfish side, because at the time, obviously, morally, like I always see, like, we, even though this field was there for several decades, but number of OTs who came out of those institutions and the number of available professionals on that field was like really very little. Like, at the time, only in the late 90s, when all these schools came up, like the volume of OT started to grow slowly. And obviously if people left the field or went abroad and stuff, so there was a lot of playing ground for us to explore. So that is also like, I sometimes really think, if I were to be in a field where it's already saturated with so many people, then I may not have had the playing ground that I had so far to build my career, to build my own, career path as well. So one side, it's the philosophy that attracted me, and then like that time I just decided, I mean, the mission of empowering the OT, even though it started with officially with IOTTT, the day I graduated, I told myself this, this field is a beautiful field that can really impact so many lives meaningfully. So I'm going to take it upon as my life mission to empower this field. So again, I just started doing things right from right after the day of my graduations, by starting OT departments into corporate hospitals back then, just to introduce more OT services and start writing things. And then, eventually it all led to IOTTT. So that's my thing. And still, the passion has never even dipped a single bit since, for the past 20 years. So I'm so glad. And also another thing, just want to add quickly, is one beautiful thing about OT is no two interventions are going to be the same, right? There is no monotony here. Like, a lot of professions, a lot of other businesses or fields, you will be doing the same thing over and over and over again. Here, you will see the two patients with the same diagnosis in the same age range and all, but still the interventions might look different. So you are pretty open. Your critical thinking is the limit. Your creativity is the limit. So I also like enjoy that novelty involved in our field. So that's my reason to stay in the field, and I will continue to stay in the field. Thank you.
Thank you, Karthik. It's nice to know that philosophy has pulled you in this. I was digging up something about OT's graduates and how many people are staying in India and stuff. So actually, the survey is somewhere kind of incomplete. There is no proper data as such. But in 2019, there is an article in Times of India which says uh, 1,100 graduates are graduating from India who are OTs. But presently, the state is totally different. Only in Tamil Nadu, we have 1,500 who are graduating. We have almost around 17 colleges in Tamil Nadu. We have grown, yes, but still, as a practitioner or even someone who is in the college, we have always had this problem of finding people to work. Lack of therapists, lack of number of therapists joining here, and the scarcity of OTs in Tamil Nadu or all over India has always been there. The people who have stayed have definitely stayed. That's definitely there. But this is also something which is concerning. So Velu, if you can unmute yourself and kindly introduce yourself briefly, and please say what is your reason to stay in this field. Or I'll leave it for others also. Anybody, please put your hands up so that if anybody is in a rush to say, we can take it up first. Velu might be finding it difficult because he was outside. Shankar, are you there, Dr. Shankar? Okay, I'm going to move on to the names in my screen as it is Nidhi and Suvita. Any one of you?
Hello all, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Nidhi, please go ahead.
Yes. So it was actually inspiring to hear Dr. Murali sir and Dr. Karthik sir's words. And to be very honest, I'll say I am someone who's not many years into the profession. Initially, I too found my calling in OT because it was something where I could make a difference in a person's lives, not just in one aspect, but in the overall aspect of a person's life. So, as is the case with many OTs, I was also an aspirant who wanted to do medicine, but then everyone in my family, when I couldn't get a government medical seat, was like, you can do dentistry as an alternative. But when I came to know about occupational therapy through one of my cousins who is on the spectrum, he was receiving services for occupational therapy, and that's how I came to know about it. I got into the field very intentionally that, okay, this is what I want to do. And I feel what still keeps me going in the field is that we are not just looking at singular aspect of a person's life, but rather we are able to help them in multiple ways. And it's not just that we are going to be working with a specific group of population of people or of people who have some conditions or have a diagnosis, but rather our profession is unique in a way that it's going to leave a lasting impact on people's lives in different ways. So now we see that the OT movement, or rather we see that OTs are working in different areas, like let's say wellness, holistic development. So my inclination is also going towards those areas where we can contribute meaningfully to help people grow in their lives, not necessarily that they might have a condition or they have to live or need services, OT services per se, but rather help people in a way which helps them live meaningful lives. Thank you.
Nidhi, that was fantastically put. There is this vast number of areas we can go in, and there is no limitation for us. There is no restrictions for us in whom we will be helping, or what condition people will be helping. And forget about the condition. We can help anybody and everybody who is in the need of our services. So that's a fantastic way of putting it. When you said that, I remembered that initially when I said there is somebody who is coming to occupational therapy in the immediately after discharged from the acute stroke, and before that, if you ask, like, people will come to OT only after 2 years or 3 years. The immediate references were always been difficult ones to get, except for the pediatric clients. That itself is a good growth, and we are putting our foot stronger in the field of rehabilitation. And as you said, I can touch upon anybody and make difference into people's life. Even though they have problem, they don't have problem, I can definitely help them be the best in their whatever they are doing. So, thank you, Nidhi. And Dr. Suvita, will you be able to take it up?
Hi, Murali. Thank you for the opportunity. Um, I, I mean, where they say when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. That is my motto with occupational therapy. I actually came into occupational therapy because like everybody's parents, they want into medicine. I didn't want to do surgery, and I hated chemistry. So I got into this field, and
Then both.
I did want to I did get a chance to do physio, but then in the counseling they just say, oh, OT is upcoming field. And of course, I did want to go abroad. I'm not ashamed to say that. I did want to go abroad, but didn't know what it was. So went into OT without knowing anything. And gradually, I think only by my second semester, or I mean, second year, I came to know, oh, this is OT with OT psychiatry. I had wonderful tutors, and I began to understand, okay, this is what we do as an OT for a client with any condition, orthopediatric psychiatry. And I think I'm very proud to be an occupational therapist because, in addition to anything, we have an extra uh, point knowing the psychiatric aspects of anybody. Could be a person who has a cardiac issue. We'll have to look into that mental health aspect of it, just not people who are just having mental health diagnosis. And I did work in a couple of places in India, Chennai, Bangalore, Nagarkoil, and everywhere. Main thing, I couldn't sustain myself. That was the one thing I couldn't. And even now, I did come back for a vacation, and I'm happy to know there are many colleges opening. It's nice, but for me, it's like you call someone to have a feast, and people come with hunger or expectation, and you just give them a rice porridge isn't good. I'm happy
Mm.
colleges are opening, but what is the life future? I had to struggle. I had my male colleagues, my male classmates who struggled with, the remuneration of being an occupational therapist. And it differs being in a city, it differs being in a suburban place, and it differs being in a village or in a town. Down south, extreme. So how are we going to fare in that thing? And second of all, um, I'm happy that colleges are opening, and I'm just concerned with the clinical aspect of it. I did meet up with some people whose there is a bit of loss of touch in the clinical area. That is what I feel. But um, what to say? Happy doing the job, but the returns
Mm.
of it is, you have to look in two ways. One is job satisfaction. Of course, when we are dealing with children, especially pediatrics, it's just the outcome. It's not like a doctor handing out pills and your headache is gone. No, they're going
I
to
get
live
you.
with it. Yes. And the job, you just get burnout of it. And what are we as OT supporting our own community in that? How are we helping them now? There is a support system for that. That is one thing. And I'm sorry to say, like, when I came for vacation, I actually had to go into physio for my treatment. And I found out that the occupational therapist in a town or like Madurai down south uh, would be earning like around 13 to 15,000 a month. And if you go to Chennai,
Wow.
it could be like 35,000. And it was very sad for me. Honest to say, when I started practicing in 2004, my first salary was 2,000 rupees for a month. I had assistance with my parents. And I got the reality of life. I couldn't run like this. I mean, I am an OT. I like to be honest. Doesn't mean I shouldn't buy
Mm.
myself a Benz car. I'm a human. I could have. But is this 4.5 plus 2 years of masters, like 7 years of my life? Is that giving me that? So I think as OTs, happy to have no new colleges, everything coming in, lot of areas to work in. But I think we put exceptional amount of hard work to get this degree. I mean, getting a
Mm.
pass in MGR University back in the day was not a joke, you know?
Definitely not. I agree.
Yeah. And when you come out and you see, it is a sad picture. It is a sad picture. I did work out in a bunch of countries, jumping from the eastern part to the western part. I've seen
Mm.
remuneration wise, it's good. Recognition wise, it's really amazing. Like you said, I still know people, doctors don't know what is occupational therapy. So,
Wow.
and I feel like these new colleges opening and the deans or the principals should be the advocate for pushing the betterment of the students who are coming out. Yes, we are not. I mean, you have, let's say, if you have a good product, you don't want to sell it for cheap, right? People should have that pride in them. Like, oh my, I was mentored by Dr. Sujata Michel. So
Mm-hmm.
she mentored us like, do not sell yourself cheap. You know your
True.
stuff, you know your work, and you should have a passion about it. You're treating people who have lost something and have to live with what they're having. It could be a loss of an arm, it could be,
Mm.
mental health issues. It's gone. We are rehabilitating them. We're not growing anything new. So you're doing that. That is the best part of occupational therapy. So we should
Completely
be
agree.
proud of that. And I think that is the thing in India we should be pushing for. I don't know. I think in Nursing Council they have like, this is the remuneration you should pay. I think it was such and such. If you go into,
No, see, the nursing council or any standards of payment. But unfortunately, today's topic we are not on the on that level.
yeah,
We are not
yeah,
talking on that aspect. But yes, I completely resonate with you on this. The teaching institutes should up their game in giving more quality and more of practical exposure. Uh,
mm,
we had a Saturday night chat exclusively on the teaching aspects and how the graduates should be empowered in all the
mm,
areas. I agree. Some of the students who come, they lack in practical aspects, but yes, once they push through their hard work, I know, you're doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. All of us are doing fantastic. But we are all doing fantastic only because we have the skill in our hand, and that is also one of the reason why we are able to stay in this field for longer. I know
mm,
if I don't have a skill, I might probably watered out in the process because client will not come to me if I don't do justice to my field or if I don't make any difference into people's lives. So that's definitely a good point to go ahead with, and having the skill and practical exposure for people. I'm glad that people have taught me. There have been some seniors and juniors who have given me, exceptional skill set, practical exposures. Because I always say my UG college gave me only 5% of knowledge in occupational therapy.
mhm,
Anywhere I would say that. When I went to PG, it's that where the experience which gave me the remaining 95 because I was in a government hospital. I could get more exposure. There were people who taught me. Over a period, we gained that skill and we gained that momentum in the field and go.
mm,
So, staying in the field again, one aspect when you said remuneration is one more reason why I am not going abroad or I'm staying here in this field in the clinical practice. I am even refusing for teaching job because this remuneration is more than the teaching job or takes my energy full and pays me well. That's also one of the reason. Having said
mm.
this, I would like to ask Divakar, what is your opinion in this, and why are you staying in the field? Because I know for a long time you are there in this. Before that, I'll take Karthik. Your hand is up. A quick bite
Yeah,
from you.
yeah, so just to respond to Suvita, yeah, Suvita, you really touched upon a lot of issues, like some of which we have discussed, and you also gave us some, good discussion points here. But just the aspect of remuneration, I want to say that, in 2018, the OT workforce survey in India said like about 35,000 for bachelors and 45,000. The problem here is, okay, yeah, it's pretty much, the survey is very limited in response and pretty much urban populated OTs who responded to that, probably the reason. But what I'm just like, we need to really do more in the advocacy front, where we have some data generated. We need to continue to do these workforce studies and stuff, so we have the data to back our arguments, and that will. On another side, I also think OTs need to come up with more innovative service delivery model that suits the context and the affordability of the people, where we are not underselling ourselves, we are still making our money, but we are coming up with a model where many people are getting benefited and they pay whatever that they can afford, but still we are on our end for the time and the effort and skill we spend, we are remunerated better. It's a bigger issue, needs a lot more discussion, but thanks for bringing it up. And yeah, I think Murali kind of addressed it. Just want to let you know that there's some data, and we are very soon we have plans from IOTTT side to do another workforce survey. Thank you.
And thank you,
So,
Kathy. I do agree with you. It was just the immediate, it was a few weeks before I visited India, so it just popped up. And unfortunately, I think I missed your conversation on the remuneration side because this
uh,
group just popped up on my LinkedIn and I just went to it like 2, 3 days back. So keep up the good work, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you,
But
Sulita.
again, like one final thought is like, when I was a student in BOT, I heard that the average was 2,000 rupees a month. But when I graduated, I went into like for 3 hours, I got 4,000 paid for in two places. So I started making 8,000 from my first month onwards. So I think these things can quickly, like, as people recognize the need and skill offers, this can be changed. I'm trying to always be very optimistic, so I'm trying to say that. But I think we need to empower the people to advocate for themselves. The self advocacy is one other skill that we need to instill in our students, and also the ability to explain the value of what they provide. That is missing. So we need to focus on that as well. But I'm so glad to hear all those perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Karthik. Self-advocacy is one of the prime factor, some of us are lacking. At the same time, that's the key factor which needs to be staying in. Divakar, please introduce yourself and say what makes you stay in the field of OT.
Good evening, sir. This is Divakar here. Thanks for giving me an opportunity. It brings a lot of memory about Dr. Karthik Mani. Karthik Mani is the first Indian author to release a book in the function which I was invited. I think IPS Devaram and Dr. Sundar was there. Okay, so it was the levels of OT for a very new person who was able to introduce a book to, particularly on the southern region, was a biggest effort by Dr. Karthik Mani. And it was one of the credit that was given by, it was, what can be said, this was a big heart that Karthik Mani sir invited me on the stage to receive the book, and that book was being given to students in SRM, and that book was practically whatever Suvita madam was saying, that was answered in that book, I believe, because the topic of the book was occupational therapy marketing. Okay, so the thing is, the profession is going to help you to create humanity. That is where that we are moving towards for the model of human occupation. You have some volition in yourself. Okay, that volition in the present status is slowly layering it. Okay, people started looking their layers, and nowadays they are taking chances of studying more and more. I see people studying more new models, questioning about the models, asking their own teachers about the models. Kawa model was explained by Dr. Punita last 2 days before I saw it in the Instagram. Okay, so like that, the study has been evolved as much as possible. Well, that is one thing that we need to get ourselves to acknowledge. The second most important thing is the very junior most, when myself was starting a clinic or something like that, I was not able to get some guidance or things like that. We got really stumbled upon things, where to go, to which doctor to go. Can I go and meet a psychiatrist? Okay, psychiatrist is asking so much questions on medical level. What will you do for this? What will you do for that? Okay, we need a lot of practice, and apart from that, we need a lot of guidance from our set of people during the time in 2004, where it is not to say something is down or something is up or something like that. Our own mentors do not had a very clear picture of what we are going to do. They have also just come out of their fields. They were taken as a staff, and they were just teaching us this will happen. After the masters people came, and one of the bright light was shown by Murali sir, whom I met in APMR for an interview for contractual post. I met him. Okay, he said that on that day itself, he said that this is not possible. You better join PGDR. In 6 months, PGDR course will get over. You will join the master's degree. That was the first initiation, he said. Then finally, he decided that this is of a 3 years time period. You got to stay down here. You got to learn so much of things. So it is better that you go for another national institute where you will be helped more. Okay, so by the way, when he sent to the Nirtar, the person who studied in Nagpur was the head of the Nirtar there. So he was a person who has come from a different culture, who was starting a clinic on the National Institute there. So his input is still making me breathe. It's still making me breathe. He used to say only one thing on that basis, on his own tone, that he will say in his tonality is, each neuron is able to connect itself to a new neuron, and that is called as plasticity, which holds the base for motor control. This can apply to anybody, to a normal person, to an abnormal person, to anybody. So those wordings was the preliminary wordings which created a shift in this. And yesterday also, one of the senior most person, who's, I think Karthik Mani sir would have been known, Mr. Isaac George. He is from Santosh College. Now he has come down to India last week, I think so. He's doing his PhD in the United States, something like that. I don't have a clear idea, but he also said that now the subject has been evolved to a very large extent. We get a larger input, and the base is also becoming much more. Number of institutions have come up. Institutions have given the chance for these children to open their own setup. In spite, we don't have an experience, but the confidence that they try to provide on those children, and those children are taking those confidence and taking the risk involved in that. Yes, I will sit down for the next 10 years in India. I will get the name. I will get the best award. I will work for even smaller people. I don't mean to say that I mean to say their age, not in their abilities or something like that. I mean the age of the person who has started a very minimal setup, and they have created so much of changes in the particular area. In somewhere deep inside in Tirunelveli, Kaitar, that's and all is a very deep place. We're going in a bus and coming back and all is, they have mentioned very clearly 45,000 rupees will be paid if you come and join there and work. Okay, in Coimbatore, it is a deep place where when we went for a visit and all, it was not possible at the time to go as such and come back. Now they had made some arrangements. They have introduced into some government policies. They have introduced into some private policies. They have introduced into classrooms about occupational therapy, and they have tried to help as much as possible to uplift this field. And one more
Divakar, sir,
they have called
sorry to interfere, sir. Because of the time constraint, we will have to go with everybody else. So
thank you, sir.
Briefly, is it because the passion? Is it because the money? Is it because you like some subject? Or is it because Murali, Karthik, or Isaac who came into your life? That's what you said.
I think as an occupational therapist, I have to say holistically, everything is trying to pushing me when I come down at 10 point. When I come down at 10 point, think of Karthik Mani, who has created a book when he was doing his work in India. At one point, I also think if Murali sir can at this age work on children who are really very pathetic, why can't I do that? Why can't I take some? Because around a couple of months before, Murali sir was talking something to a doubt in OT Update India. He immediately said a word for a person who was asking about doubt about OCN. He immediately gave an idea. You could put a watch on the person. That was an idea that was taught to me when I was doing my fourth semester by my psychiatric OT. That was done in 2000. Might be sir is senior to me, so he would have got that idea in 99. He still brought back it. In spite the technology has improved long back, everything has changed. But those days, we decided that putting a watch and making it remember that this thing is going to happen, so you can control your thoughts, you can control your action. Immediately, that one single spark created. Oh, okay, we are in the correct lane only. We are in the correct lane. We have not.
Yes, Divaj. See, sometimes, I'm kind of a person who leans back onto the conventional occupational therapy framework. Even though I use all advanced technologies, I still believe the core concept of occupational therapy is creativity and maximum use of the resources available, and making somebody, independent in that aspect. So I'll go back to the same thing. Thank you so much, Divakar. And we have Naresh here. Dr. Naresh, congratulations on this occasion for completing your PhD. And please go ahead, put your valuable inputs on why are you staying back in occupational therapy field?
I think thank you very much, Karthik and Dr. Murali. I think you know the journey of PhD went long. struggled a lot, and hopefully it end up with fruitful colors. That because of our guide, Dr. R.K. Samar sir. So we have to thank for him. Thank you very much. Actually, this profession, I think Dr. Kati will remember our principal, Dr. Jatit Mitra, when he joined also. So I was inspired by that person. He know that we are from the poor family, and at that time, how we say that autism happens only in the rich family group. The same way, autis can be from the rich family group. So that was the thought over that time, because many people will fall into this. I was through the counseling, but still Dr. Jagdeep Mitra sir has given me a lot of impact, because when I couldn't able to pay the fees, I have to stand outside because I couldn't able uh, finish it within that time. So I have to be uh, given some kind of a gap that I can't attend the classes. But during that time, I can be in the clinical setup where he used to see the clients. So I'll be watching his clinical practice. So you will make me to sit in the clinical practice, but not in the classroom. So I used to observe him a lot, and he given me a lot of ideas that inspired a lot during that time in the first year itself. But later on, after that, many things have given me a thought like we can able to inspire a lot. We can able to change the life of the people. And still now, we remember that I worked in Goa for more than 12 years. People used to call me like a God or a Messiah. Many times they used to call and tell about their children's achievements and how I inspired them. Even though I don't know at that time, I was just a 22 years old boy, but still I try to do my profession uh, with passion. So now when I get to know about those children, so they are a bit inspired. They are also their sisters or their siblings wants to do the same profession. Sometimes they want to come and join in my college itself. That inspired a lot. Even my relatives, they got inspired by my profession and they joined now. So that actually made me to uh, still sustain in our profession. And I don't know, every time I feel insecure in my profession, that you know very well, that made me to learn, kept on learning more and more. I'm going with Dr. Murali, like he said that only 5% we learn from our college. Though a lot of good lecturers, a lot of good inspired tutors, most of them are North Indians who are there with us, and they are settled in foreign countries or abroad, and they inspired that only that after doing occupational therapy we can settle in abroad. But though I also went, like Suvita ma'am said, she went to Eastern and Western. I never touched any Western, but I went to Singapore and Oman and other countries as well. But still, this PhD made me to still stay back to India with my family. And yes, I think inspired, and I got my paper selected in WFOT Congress as well. So that actually made me a boost that I can able to do it, because I have a still zero knowledge in research. I learned a lot through our IOTT, Dr. Suresh sir and Dr. Karthik and even our Dr. Murli sir, who has actually given me a lot of impact and made me to learn a lot. Sometimes I used to say that like ski hub is not working, sir. So Dr. Suresh sir will say that Naresh, if you find it, you can hack it. So this is the way I can learn a lot. That's the reason. Like I don't know. Everybody started with the same like salaries, remuneration. Still, every wife, even if I'm earning near to a kind of a 1 lakh, but still my wife says it is very less, because I might be earned 4 lakhs in Singapore and 3 lakhs in Oman, but that is same salary which I'm having it, because I have to pay the tax. But living in the India, that makes more memories, because I can impact nearly around 200 students, and my models and my theories and my way of clinical practice can be taught through my students, and they can able to impact on the community. So because I always teach to them that please never ever think about remuneration, always think about the community impact, how you can able to touch your life of a people, and inspired by yourself, make your own identity, then you remember it. So that I can able to share with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Naresh. Having a mentor, watching a mentor inspiring, and then fellow OTs inspiring you to stay in the field, as well as your aspiration and your interest in teaching the next generation of OTs coming into the field is fantastic. One point I might be like going a little ahead. Initially, I was also in the aspect of quality occupational therapy and everything. Yes. But over a period of time, I also realized quality, yes, why not remuneration also along with the quality? That also is very inspiring, which I recently explored the path of entrepreneurship in the occupational therapy, and which I found, like fantastic. As you said, remuneration, it comes to that word again and again. In when I joined back after my UG, 1,300 was my monthly salary. And I was telling this when I was talking about uh, starting small and dreaming big as entrepreneurial occupational therapist in Chitnadu College last month. I was telling them like my first month salary was 1,300, and now I charge almost around 5,000 rupees per session with somebody. So this field has given me everything what I own now in my life. So I owe my life to the field also. This is giving. This we are going, but again, I would say it requires lots of fine tuning, lots of skill building from your end to come to that level. Finishing degree is not going to be good enough for this fact. This is the fact for any other field, every other field. Uh, just the degree is not going to help. You need to have that skill. You need to grow that skill and become passionate in the field. Uh, with that, may I invite Pooja? If you are online, can you please state about what is that which keeps you in the field of occupational therapy? I know you're a ardent clinical therapist in Mumbai practicing heavily.
Hi, hello everybody. Yeah, so very good question. So, like everybody else has suggested, I mean, I got in this field by chance, and I would say because of the circumstances as well, because I was actually planning to repeat my medical entrance, but that year 26/7 happened, and we lost our house. So then there was no, you know, thought of because anyways there were many things going around. So then I thought might as well go ahead. Then I spoke with many people, and initially there was no much interest in OT. However, I would say that one case that I saw in my first year that gave me a thing that, oh wow, I mean, OT is magic, OT is hope. So that was I vividly remember that case of a 20-year-old young adult. He had a bike accident, and because of which he had brachial plexus, or something like that, because of which he had lost a function of his dominant hand. And being in first years, we were just taking case history and everything, and I was feeling really bad about this young chap. I mean, because I was also of the same age. I mean, I was, I think, 18, 19 at that time, my first year. So it was like the world turning upside down. And 26/7 being so recent, it was like, oh my God, what about his life and everything? But our seniors and teachers and everybody really worked hard. And I think he was there in the ward for like 3 months or something because of lots of surgeries and followed by hand rehab and even outpatient he came. So I could follow him up for a pretty long time, I should say. I mean, our teachers made beautiful splints, and I think he even had some arm hand control. Though I'm currently not in the field that inspired me, but yeah, I mean, he could achieve the hand function. I mean, it was like a miracle for me, and it was like, oh my God, I didn't had any hope for this guy, and he is doing awesome. So I felt it's a magic. when, I mean, everything was lost and you get it, I mean, and that's what I maybe personally felt too. So basically, I also changed, or rather, I say that OT also gave me some bit of OT with all the cases that I saw and learned from. So that changed my perspective. And then I was like, I mean, let me learn it. Let me be serious about OT. I mean, because I was not. I mean, I'm not a bright student. I was not a bright student, but I am maybe now. I'm not sure, but yeah. So over the time, cases like these, which were kind of miraculous, made me interested in OT. And then
Fantastic.
pursuing further, and then I fell in love with psychiatry and pediatrics. And that's where I pursued. I basically fell in love with brain rather than psychiatry or pediatrics. It was more of how the brain works. I mean, how miraculous our brain is. So I would say it's more of a neuroscience that I fell in love with. But yeah, given my thin structure and uh, thin weight and everything, I was pretty much sure that adults is not something that I would want to go for, because the cases that I was handling as an intern, stroke cases and everything, which were very interesting, but it was difficult to manage. I mean, because of my weight, and I was always worried about, you know, they falling over me or they falling down, and I would not be able to handle them. Or so I was like, kids are the way. So that's how I ended up with pediatrics. And then once you start with the clinical work and you yourself see the magic happening with every
True.
case that
True.
you take, it builds up your confidence and it builds up your belief, I should say, in what you
Exactly.
are practicing. And
Exactly.
I don't know how many of you know, but my family has many doctors. And to get an appreciation from them with every case you treat. So um, I work alongside with my father. So my father is a general practitioner. He's MBBS. He's also from KM. So he has a clinic next door. So he can see the kids that come to me and they leave. So to get an appreciation from him that, wow, I mean, that kid who was like this 2 months back is now like this. I mean, it's like wonderful job. And, it's what keeps us going, to see.
Exactly.
I mean, that's how it's now been 15 years that way. And it's satisfying. I mean, for me, it's a miracle. I mean, OT has been always about hope, miracle, and that belief still continues. And in spite of any difficulty or any kind of cases, though severe, I mean, I've always maintained that thing that with sincerity, with, good amount of clinical reasoning, with the faith and belief in what you're doing, has always given me results. And those results give happiness to parents, and that happiness and that keeps things going. So it has never been about remuneration or anything else for me. It was more about the magic. I mean,
Fantastic.
you could do some magic or something. I mean, that I fell in love with OT for, So
I completely understand. I
that's
completely
how. I
agree
mean,
with
though I
you.
started with a complete disinterest in OT, and I never expected that I would do even masters or fellowship or any other further courses that I keep on doing right now. So at that time, I never saw myself doing so much in OT. I mean, as a UG student, but
I understand, Pooja. The
I don't know
passion
where
you
I'm.
have
Yeah,
for the passion you have for your clients, and then the little amount of improvement we bring in their people's lives, and then how it resonates the whole family, and that resonates into the whole community, has driven our force into lots of aspects. As you said, the appreciations coming from, and then people wanting OT, and every time I feel like people are saying, "Oh no, you have tried everything. Now your last option is to go to an OT. He is the only one who can help,
exactly.
or the OT is the only one who can help." Is something interesting for me to listen from people in the rehabilitation field. teams who are doing good. And one thing I do not agree with you is, I know you're a professional cricket player, so I don't think you're a weak person to handle neuro case. Uh, you may humbly say that, but I do not agree. Having that, I want to move to Godanda Ramlingam, sir. Before that, Karthik, a quick word, please.
Yeah. Just like Pooja brought up a good, interesting thing that I kind of made me say this. Yeah, IOTTT is thinking of an initiative where we really want to like hear more of this magic. So we are planning to like interview practitioners like and then say, hey, talk the best two cases that you will always remember in your career, like what happened, like how they came to you and what happened. So that way, like that is another way to really like instill and then show the value of OT services to the community. So Pooja, you are on the list already. I'll like share more information in the near
Thank
future.
you. I'm honored.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Definitely. Okay. Godandaram, sir, your 2 cents, please.
Yes, yeah. Thanks, Murali. Thanks, Karthik. Yeah, so my journey started. So I was actually going into the engineering or, those days IIT. But the 11th and the 12th, I didn't have a maths teacher. So unfortunately, he actually moved abroad. So I end up scoring less in the maths. And then so I had to go into the medical side of things. So when I got the result, so I had to apply for the paramedical. So the occupational therapy is one of them. And so I missed the counseling like when it came. I actually only seen the counseling after a few weeks. At that stage, my options were narrowed down. So the OT was only college at the time. So I got through but I got the guidance from people working in CMCH in Vellore. So from my area, they would work there. They always get information for me to see what I can do after the school. So that's how I got into the occupation therapy. So it's an interesting story that years in the college. And so we used to have a principal, Narasimha Rao. So he always starts like he takes some subjects, but there is a teacher missing for a day or two, and he comes in, he always starts self-care, leisure, and occupation. People probably remember that. At the time, we echo that when he comes into the door. But lately, I kind of realize how important it is for the occupational therapy. And so I worked in the pediatric and worked in the private practice and also in the rehab. And now actually, so yeah, I fully agree. The remuneration is not great. But that was one of the reasons why I stayed in OT. But I always wanted to make impact and make difference to people. So, from my experience, why the occupational therapy is not kind of doing well as the other profession, because our client group are kind of, they don't have a voice and it's a disjointed. So when there is a coordination, it's going to be a louder voice, and that's what I feel. And there should be a lead in every area of the occupation therapy. So I'm kind of doing private practice. I have a company at the moment, so I'm kind of doing marketing, as you said. Yeah, I'm kind of, I'm glad you did that, Karthik, years ago, but I'm only starting that journey. So I'll do as few books going forward. I have loads of experience from my personal profession and also in the company I'm running at the moment. So it's still exciting. So I'm still side by side with the profession and also in the business side. I'm it's a very fast moving months for me in the last few months. I couldn't catch up with the AI and everything. So the social media is the level platform, like a level playing platform. So some of them mentioned about the resources and the kind of, they well off or not, but the social media is the level playing field, and anybody can make impact. And once you have a coordination in that, and so you can bring forward yourself and also the profession. So that's that's my kind of current kind of intention to
Fantastic, sir.
help the profession going forward in terms of the business. And that's what I'm working on. There's so many ideas keep coming to me, but I couldn't implement everything. So I'm just doing the ones I can do, and that's giving me the rewarding benefits now. Thank you.
Fantastic, sir. Fantastic. You know, how giving the profession itself to all of us is so wonderful, so wonderful. You know, you also brought up the point where, you know, to reach out to the public mass, not many people are willing to say that I have underwent occupational therapy practice. Because recently, a couple of years back, Honorable Prime Minister mentioned about physiotherapy, that I went through this, and then suddenly there is an uproar of videos and stuff. I'm almost in the process of making someone like that say they are taking OT and then they'll come up in public and do it. I am not sure how far that's possible, but my aim is to bring out the person in the social media saying that they are taking OT. Because there are so many people who are taking OT, prominent people, but they are not coming up and saying it outside. For that matter, even as children who are taking it, who have gone better and then we got discharged, are also not mentioning. That's one thing which is putting us in not much in this limelight, but at the same time, the satisfaction of someone who's coming, who's not even know who the mother, who the father is, and then suddenly they start calling, they are recognizing the family member, and you see the tears rolling down the mother's eye and the father's eye when they mention. And recently, day before yesterday, one of the moms in my clinic came and like, sir, he mentioned father. He said appa today. And that's the first time he mentioned any word in his whole span of 4 years. And we recorded this, and then they have sent it to the father. And he meant it with the meaning of appa. So these are all the emotional things which plays in our heart and say, okay, now than money, than the work, than the strenuous hours or strenuous work process we go through. We are making people smile. We are making meaning into their lives. We are putting meaning into their lives. They might not recognize, they might not acknowledge us in the public places, but we still know we are the superheroes in people's lives. And that's one thing which is pushing all of us. And that's the magic Pooja was also mentioning. I'm talking this, I'm getting goosebumps. You know, this is something which pushes us in the field and asks us to do so much of stuff. Bringing in lots of people, guiding our younger ones into the field, exposing them to the practical knowledge, and having this point of, you know, empowering and teaching the practical skill knowledge. Because I was taught this skill, I did not study well because I became a better therapist. I was taught and trained by someone else, so a fellow therapist. That's why I'm good. So I'm trying to give back to my younger generation that I will teach you what I know. I will tell you where I have to go. Same way how Divakar sir was mentioning and Nidhi was mentioning, we are trying to put in our efforts. I am exactly sure that, you know, Govardhan sir, everybody in this field is also mentoring somebody who is in the field. So, can someone share uh, your experience of mentoring someone and they're like they are doing fantastic in the field?
I I would say not like more than mentoring. It's also like inspiring. It's like, you know, one of the client I treated, the child sister, like, you know, was like probably like a seventh grader or sixth grader back then. Now she's a therapist in the UK with a master's degree. And the
Fantastic.
reason she picked OT was, I mean, I was told by the parents that it was me that inspired her. And then like she's still in contact, you know, like sometimes she occasionally texts me. She went to SRM, I believe, for the bachelor's, and eventually went on to go to the so I know that at least several people, like, you know, chose the field because of, like, you know, somehow I inspired them in the journey. And also, like, when you talk about the joyful tears in mom's eyes, like, again, I remember that, when I had my own private practice, I had several episodes of that. Like, whenever the child at first, like, walked with balance and say the word, uttered a single word like amma or something, I still, like, like, that meant so much to them. You couldn't really, like, like, it's like, wow, this small thing gave them so much fulfillment and joy. And then say, like, if I'm not going to take the full credit, I may be a tiny, tiny, teeny tiny part of that. It's God's blessing, their own effort, other therapies that the child may have received. I'm not, like, attributing that to me, but, like, still, like, I just felt like so happy to be a part. And still, some of those parents are now, like, after many, many years, they are, like, maybe on certain days they text me, like, like a Teacher's Day, like, now that I'm a professor, like, they say happy Teacher's Days, like, I'm that client, like, I treated them like, what, 12, 13, 15 years, or maybe more than that. So, and again, some of those kids that I treat are now, like, doing college, and they are trying to get into, like, they're big adults, grown-up adults, and some of them do visit me when I come to India, for occasion and stuff like that. So it's very fulfilling. It's so good to, it's a great feeling that we all have, that, when we are a reason for a meaningful influence or impact on someone's life, that who are nobody, otherwise nowhere related to us. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't go to school, work with them. They're not friends, they're not relatives, but you have that connection, and that's so precious and valuable. And I could really, like, relate to it when you talk about that. So yeah, and I mean, in terms of mentoring, I would say, like, throughout my OT clinic here, I've issued, like, so many recommendation letters. So when I first came here to practice in India, that I did workshops, and there was a therapist working for me, so I mentored them. But I mean, when I came here, there was a lot of OTAs that I mentored. In the beginning of my phase, and after that, I'm mostly into administrative and academic and research nowadays. So obviously, I'm teaching a group of students, every day. So I believe it's sort of like guiding them and inspiring them as well.
Fantastic, Karthik. Anybody else, please put your hands up and go ahead if you want to share something on this. Dr. Suvita, please go ahead.
This is I don't think I meant it like therapist, but it was students. So I mean, I think I was fortunate enough to have good teachers or professors in college. I learned with Dr. Sugi Saumi and Dr. Sujata Mishra. So it was inspiration of me to whoever comes to me. I should also impart the thing. So I remember one time, this was in Saudi when I was practicing in a specialized children's hospital. So I was doing acute inpatient as outpatient. So there was a child who should have been like 10, 11 years old, severely autistic, severe proprioceptive seeking. So they came with the thing that he wouldn't listen, he wouldn't do anything, no matter, and I know Arabic is their language and something. So I did a few activities, worked him around, he wouldn't listen. And I found that he was clenching his, fist. So I gave him the hardest therapy and he started, squeezing on it. I had like 4 or 5 interns with me because one is for interpretation and the father was there. And after a minute of squeezing the therapy, then I made him do an activity. It was like putting a story in a proper way. He followed it. I just showed him and gave him another thing. I didn't do any verbal thing and I just pointed and he did it. And I did another activity with putting a jigsaw puzzle. He did it. I did, and the father's jaw was on the floor. And what came out of is I had these interns, lovely kids. They were so interested. They've never seen this happen. So you have to tap into that. And I'm so happy to see these interns who are not well proficient in English went on to do certified SI programs, feeding therapists, and they are doing. They are in Saudi, Snapchat is huge. I do get updates every day. Few of these interns, they explain, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is what you're doing, and it's in Arabic. I kind of get it, and he shows how is he treating with the child, the outcome, and they are getting a cloths. It's so, and they when I was leaving the job, they said, you've imparted us so much, because they used to come for clinical demonstration. I was not in the college, but in the hospital when they used to follow for the internship. So I was so happy, and they still came back to me that they've got this, they've done all these, and they're doing so well. And they told me that it didn't inspire them, and they came back and told me that this is what kind of clicked it. As an OT, it's a small thing, and they could do it. It isn't written down in books or explicit. You
Yeah,
do it at the spur of a moment. It's like you try this, you try this. Let's me try this. So it comes on with practice. But I was her. I didn't even think about it. But that small thing inspired those children. I mean, I think I'm blessed with that. It's a blessing to be a blessing to another person. So that is what I carry with me. Seeing
oh,
the
fantastic.
students who went on to become, like really they're really doing good. I haven't done any of these certified coders, but they are fantastic at that. That makes me really happy. Yep.
Oh, fantastic. How a small act and small act brings out the best in the other people who are looking at it. How inspirational that particular moment can be for everybody's life. Oh, fantastic it is. Fantastic. Pooja, you want to say something?
Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, I have been, like fortunate to work in different settings. So, and I have always loved teaching. And we had good mentors. I mean, in our time in KM, it was more about, see one, do one, teach one kind of practice. So uh, every one of us had one senior who would constantly share notes, guide us, mentor us. So that's the practice that we also carry forward with our juniors and further juniors. So kind of. So, mentoring has always, or teaching juniors or guiding juniors or anybody, to that matter, even our patients or clients. And in college setting, so I was also even assistant professor for a year. So even those students as a teacher, and then in the clinic as a clinician. So, as Karthik sir said, that writing recommendations and students wishing you on Teachers' Day and everything has been something that's inspiring, and it feels good. And sometimes even as he said that it comes from somebody who you don't even realize was inspired by you. So one of my
Exactly.
juniors had written on USC's website that Pooja ma'am is my mentor. And I was like, huh? And it's like a great thing. And I felt so good, And then how, she got inspired by me was just, we would hardly interact, but she had observed me treating patients and, interacting with them and teaching the class. So I was basically a PG student and she was UG, and we had this micro teaching lectures where we have to take lectures for UG students. So that's how she got inspired to go in, do this field, and that's how I became her mentor. But that was, great. So that's when I realized that this is something I could do. So, and as a result, my clinic has been always open for anybody who would like to come polish their clinical skills. I would mentor them and even guide them to open their own clinics. So, many people who have come here have their own clinics as well. so, so,
Great,
and
great.
why not? See, I have always believed that working hard skills is the only thing that matters. Nothing else. Everything is जो आने वाला है उतना ही आएगा types, So, but these things are the core integrity of what you should have. So I even help them opening their own clinics. So
That's
that's how
fantastic,
it is.
Pooja.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And I
When you
remember,
said, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, sorry.
No. When you said about learning from your colleagues, learning from your friends, who else can better vouch for it? Because I studied in one college, I learned from four other colleges. I did my PG in Nair. I learned from the seniors in Nair, KM, Sion, and AAPM are all together. So I used to
Yeah.
visit all the colleges. I could cover up everybody and then catch hold of anyone and everyone available and learn from them. And
That time,
lots of
I
people.
believe there was a culture of mentoring.
Yes.
I don't know nowadays it's there or not, because many of the juniors that come to clinic or just fresh pass outs who come, most of them, they're like, हम लोग को ये नहीं सिखाया है. We have not been taught. So at that time, it was not like we were not taught. It was more like our seniors were like, ye karna hai. Teachers may or may not have taught it, but
Understood.
seniors were always after us. These are the things that are mandatory, these are the things that you should look out for. These are things you should observe for. So I would say that along with teachers, it was more of seniors who had
I
taken
agree.
that
I agree.
thing. And that's how our generation or maybe our batches have good clinical skill sets. Though our seniors would say that we didn't had. I mean, every
No,
generation
see,
has that. But yeah, I mean, like
exactly,
how we
exactly how this has happened. That's the future forward also. How people have made us better therapists, and we are here to make other people, the new therapists, better therapists by giving the knowledge what we have received. So paying forward
definitely.
is a better work. So for the profession to go, and due to time constraints, I'm going to summarize what we have discussed, and then I'm going to finally ask Dr. Shankar and Velu if they have something to say about. We started with what inspired, maybe the philosophy, maybe just the foundation of the therapy, occupational therapy field itself coming into inspiring us to stay in the field. Of course, remuneration aspect we discussed on the negative aspect. Also, at the same time, there are positive aspects of the remuneration also here, which brings in as a supporting factor. And all of us have agreed on one thing, that there has always been somebody who have lifted us, who had guided us, who had helped us whenever we were going through a rough patch, or they were just polishing our skills for the betterment. And these are the areas why we were staying back. And the important aspect, as Pooja mentioned, the magic, the field itself, the occupation therapy field itself providing so much for us, and the amount of magic and changes it can bring into somebody else's life. How, as an individual, we can make that changes, or we can contribute somebody's life and then productivity, being a productive member of the family and the community, has driven us to the extent that we stay in this field and contribute so much to the field. Smaller changes culminating into bigger changes for them. And when we also say we don't change one person's life, when we change somebody's life, we change the whole family, for that matter. By changing that family, we are changing that whole community in that aspect. So, there are multiple reasons to be in this wonderful field of occupational therapy. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and taking your time out and sharing your valuable inputs. Before winding up, I would finally ask Dr. Velu, if you are available, would you like to say something?
Okay. All right. So I just, Velu, please feel free to raise your hand if you want to say something. Again, for the time's sake, I really thank you, all of you. I really want all of you to see in future Saturday Night Chat sessions as well. If you're not a member of IOTTT, please consider joining us as a member to empower the field of OT. Again, Murali nicely summarized it, but I also want to say that this profession is rewarding and fulfilling, so better stay. That may be the one sentence, the one big takeaway. And of course, we have systemic challenges. We have limited growth opportunities, lack of awareness. But I think with now the profession is on the growth trajectory, with more and more people getting into the field, I think our voice will grow louder. And definitely, we all come together and then continue to import the field of OT. It'll be my point is, of course, we know the magic it does, and my wish is that a lot of people benefit from that magic. India is a populous country in the world now, so there is a lot of people with need, and our field can really make a meaningful difference in their life, thereby uplifting the society, uplifting the country as such. So thank you once again for joining us today and contributing your thoughts. The recording will be made available soon on our YouTube channel. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are. Bye-bye.
Bye
Good day,
bye.
everyone. Good day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm going to end the meeting for all. Thank you, Murali.
Thank you.